So guys,
Hey everybody,
on the mat.
welcome. Episode number 40.
40.
All right, today we're going to be talking about walls, ceilings, and excuses. Walls, ceilings, and excuses. First of all, thank you for joining us today. And before we get started, be sure to, if you don't mind, like this video, comment maybe what you took away, depending on when you watch this.
Yep. And
And or if you're watching it live or on the replay, right?
maybe hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay.
Right.
Cool.
And of course, if you don't mind, hit the bell icon in the upper right-hand corner of this live video so that you're notified of any future videos, right? Again, today is episode 40, walls, ceilings, and excuses. That's kind of the topic of today, and we're at the end of this. That'll all make sense, hopefully, once we finish this out, right? Yep, cool. Thanks those who are joining us already. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about walls, ceilings, and excuses. So what does that mean?
What do you think it means?
What do you think it means? Anyways, so for us, this is going to be relevant. I mean, we'll be using a lot of jiu-jitsu analogies in terms of making examples here, but this is just, kind of in life in general, right? In life and training, we're quick to make excuses for why things aren't going our way, and we put up artificial walls and ceilings in the process. When something doesn't work out like we hope it would, a lot of people are quick to make excuses.
And why do you think people do that?
It justifies why they didn't accomplish what they were wanting to accomplish.
Right. And,
Right.
we went to school. You minored in psychology.
Right.
I majored in psychology.
Correct.
And part of doing these kind of things are to protect the ego, right? The old Freud did ego, super ego.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Right.
And everybody does it to a degree. It's your ability to recognize that you're making excuses and not living up to what you should be able to do, right? Here's a little short list, just some examples of things that people make excuses for and ultimately put up walls and ceilings, right? Initially, you're making an excuse. That's why I didn't do it. And then the bad thing is that you start to make that a habit and you start putting up walls. Or for some people, they like to look at it as a ceiling, an artificial ceiling, as something they hit that stops them from moving forward, right? Can't lose weight. I can't lose weight because I'm not making enough money. But it's not because of me, it's because of this other situation, right? I'm not strong enough. And this is more jiu-jitsu side. I'm not strong enough to do this technique. I'm too little, and the list just kind of goes on. So there's a lot of, we could go over other ones as far as excuses of, why things aren't working out. I'm getting smashed on the mat, so this is why. I haven't been doing it long enough.
I'm not in shape enough.
I'm not in shape. I mean, we could go on for days with that one, right? So we are going to use jiu-jitsu as the analogy in terms of with the excuses and stuff, right? So let's use the example of a new student, right? New student comes in, and they feel overwhelmed with their first class, right? Not unusual, right? And we're talking more so for someone they never wrestled, and especially if they've never been in a competitive kind of atmosphere, athletics, things of that nature. They're just coming in because they want to give it a try, right? Generally speaking, this can be categorized in two areas, physical and mental, right? In terms of them feeling overwhelmed, right? Most people coming in to do their first class generally are not in shape. Most people, right?
Nope.
That's the whole reason they're coming in, because they want to get in shape. And martial arts is an amazing way to get in shape, right? If you stick with it and you actually do it. But they've never done in jiu-jitsu, right? At the end of the class, they feel dead tired and mentally exhausted, right? They can come in with preconceived notions of how they think they're going to do, which is also very common, right?
Well, I think part of it too, they come in with a preconceived notion of what it's going to be like, how overwhelming it might be. It's probably going to be, a lot of people think of, martial arts as traditional and they're screaming and, just a lot of people come in just nervous anyways
Right.
on that first, encounter, like, oh God, I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to throw me around and beat me up? And
Right. I think it's on two ends of the spectrum in terms of preconceived notions. Some people may come in and say, oh, that's not going to be much to it. I'm a big guy. I'm in shape. It shouldn't be that hard.
I'll be able to hold my own.
Right. I'll be able to hold my own, even though I've never done it.
And
But they
it's
should be able to hold on. I'll play football. I'll be fine. Right. And then the other end of the spectrum where, like Rob said, it's almost this nervousness of like, oh my God, what are they going to do? They imagine like a UFC fight, right? Which is nothing like what most jiu-jitsu classes are like, or even a Muay Thai class, right? At the end of that class is when people start to make excuses, right? Well, I haven't worked out in a year,
That's why I couldn't do as good.
That's why I couldn't do that well. I've been working nonstop. I just don't have any time, right? They come in, they try it, they like it, but they're overwhelmed. They're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to have time. I'm just working a lot. Well, you had enough time to come in and check it out. So I bet you if you stop watching Netflix 3 hours a night, you can maybe make time to dedicate for yourself to come in and get in shape and work on yourself, right? But that's another story. Cool. So again, like we were saying, initially when things don't go your way, we're quick to give an excuse, right? When it becomes a habit, you start to put up walls of why I can't do it now, right? You revert back to the excuse and by putting up those walls. And ultimately, you set a ceiling for yourself of what you can reach in terms of your goals, right? So there's going to be some things that we're going to talk about in terms of suggestions of what you can do to, stop making excuses, stop putting up the walls, and stop giving yourself those ceilings, right, that you max out at. Some of those are going to be to look at the situation objectively, right? I don't know any jiu-jitsu. That would be like me stepping on the court of a basketball and trying to play basketball. Never really played it much when I was a kid. And that was 30 years ago. So I'm not going to get on a basketball floor and court and expect to do well. I just objectively can understand that I don't have the fundamental skills, nor have I done it and played basketball in 30 years. So
it might not go too good.
It may not go too good. I already know that going in. But most people, a lot of people, when they come in, they don't objectively look at what's going on. Yeah, you suck at it because you've never done it. Even people from other martial arts, like, you might be good at jiu-jitsu, but if you step over to the Muay Thai side, you're not going to do as good because it's two totally different things, right? And vice versa.
We have, a lot of times we have people coming in who have black belts and
other styles, traditional styles of martial arts,
Shotokan, Taekwondo,
right?
And it's just not the same. I mean, it's a
nowhere near
completely
the same.
opposite art, even people that have done traditional martial arts and move on to Muay Thai, it's a different. I mean, it's striking. You would think it's pretty close, but the way they do and perform technique is different, and sometimes that can be hard to kind of mentally wrap your brain around.
Right. The second thing we wanted to give up some advice about in terms of not making excuses and not putting up walls and ceilings is the first one was looking at the situation objectively. The second one is setting aside a certain amount of time every day for you to work on what it is that you want to work on, right? If you do jiu-jitsu 1 day a week, better than none, but is that as good as a little bit every day, right? Now, not everybody can come and train jiu-jitsu every single day, right? You have other obligations, right? Home obligations, family obligations, maybe school obligations, things like that, right? But if you take a few minutes every day to work on yourself, whatever that is, right? You're going to stop making excuses, and you're going to start to see progress in whatever that is. Does that make sense?
Sure.
One of my favorite quotes is from Michael Jordan, who's arguably the best basketball player of all time. And if you haven't watched The Last Dance. I highly recommend it. I haven't finished it, but I've started on it, and it's really good.
They just put it on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. So if you have Netflix, go check it out. All right. This is the quote. Well, there's two quotes, really, and I'm going to name them both, right? You miss 100% of the shots you never take. You miss 100% of the shots you never take. So going back to the idea of spending a little bit of time every day working on your goal. I'm sure Mr. Jordan spent time every single day shooting hoops, right? That's why he got good. The second quote, and this will just kind of ring home that idea. He said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. So success doesn't come because you always win. Success comes from failing and knowing and learning from that experience and being able to move forward, right? So making an excuses don't do you any good, right? If you fail, okay, cool. Why did I fail? And learning how to not fail again, at least not in the same way, right?
I think most people, if you think about athletes, or a lot of you guys probably watch the UFC, who are the people you really root for? It's not the one who always wins.
Right.
It's that guy who lost. He was gracious in defeat. He went back. He worked hard, and he came back. So he kind of overcame an adversity or an obstacle. So
yeah. So going back to that quote, if you don't try, rather, you don't know. Right? If you don't come in, like for that example of the person who came in and did their first class, if they don't come back again, they won't know, right? Okay, the first class was hard. Maybe the second class won't be as hard. But if you don't come back, you won't know. If you never come in to try, and you won't ever know how great it might be. So like jiu-jitsu is awesome, right? Now jiu-jitsu's for anyone, but it's not for everyone. That being said, right? Not everybody's gonna like jiu-jitsu. But you don't know unless you try it, right? So if you think you might, come in and try it out. If you think you might like Muay Thai, come in and try it out. So let's kind of, unless you got anything else, I want to leave it with something. So it'll be, not a super long talk today, but we'll kind of leave it at this. People don't regret failure. They regret not trying, right? So an example might be.
Well, can I say one thing real quick? We get a lot of people to come in, and people that start, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's Muay Thai, it doesn't matter. But most people tend to say, I wish I had started when I was little, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. Because we have a lot of people come in and they're like, man, I was thinking about doing this stuff like in 2005 or 2010 or 15. Right. And they always would say, man, once they get into it and they fall in love with it and they're getting benefits from it and they're growing from it, they always say, man, I wish I had started back when I first thought about it.
Right. We've had people that trained with us years ago, and for whatever reason, they stopped, and now they're back, and they wish they never had stopped, right? Again, let me repeat this. People don't regret failure. They regret not trying. So going back to the Jordan quote, you only miss 100% of the shots you never take. If you never try, you won't know, right? That's it.
Yeah, I think the important thing to kind of sum this up and wrap it up is the fact that, when it comes to making excuses, making, the ceilings and walls and all that kind of stuff, is the fact that you can work on, some people think, oh, you just got to have a strong mindset. Well, what does that mean? Like, how do you not make excuses? How do you not kind of, even when, guys that are currently students and they're rolling and they're 4 rolls in and they're tired and like, man, I'm done. I'm tired. What makes you push through that and go on and do one more round or one more roll? Right. That mindset is something that can be built on and strengthened, in different ways. Some people find that they can grow that mindset just from being around other positive people. Just being in this environment will push you. Right. And you tend to grow and build on that just by the people that you maintain. Mm-hmm. Some people enjoy quotes and they read a new quote every day, and they say that quote to themselves every day. Some people journal. Some people, what I'm saying is, some people have different ways of strengthening their mindset, right? Reading books. Some people follow guys like David Goggins and Jocko and these guys, Joe Rogan, so there are ways to strengthen and build on that mindset. But it is something you have to work on consistently. Cool.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Again, if you don't mind, just like the video if you're watching it. If you enjoyed it, comment below. Let us know if you watched it live or on the replay. We would greatly appreciate that. And again, if you have any suggestions for future topics, let us know. After 40 of them, sometimes it's tough coming up with new topics. But that being said, hope you have a great day, great weekend, and we will catch you guys on the next episode.